major things that happened both financially, from a capital markets perspective, and from a geopolitical perspective since our financial crisis in 2007, 2008, is that other nations, and particularly in Asia, in particular China, rose up to say the instability that was presented on the world economy and in the world financial markets as manufactured by the United States banking system and central bank or Federal Reserve behavior towards that financial system was very detrimental. And as a result, they grew from the standpoint of a geopolitical perspective, as well as economically at the same time, as well as vocally in terms of criticizing what the U.S. had done and the risk that it impues upon the world. As a result of that, it's established stronger relationships in both the Asian region and also with the EU, which had problems as well as resulted from the financial crisis caused by the U.S. banking system. All of that has been in play over the last decade, but in particular in the last few years, it's really increased. And increased even more so in the advent of the Trump administration because he has been so negative about trading with certain partners and about those relationships to the U.S. that the external to the U.S. relationships are strengthened because of that, and I believe that trend will continue. So the growth of the alliances throughout the world away from the U.S. will continue. And I see that as both a short-term factor in driving the financial markets and capital flows, as well as something that will evolve in the longer term. There are pitfalls to that. A lot of debt has been created in the wake of the financial crisis because the Federal Reserve and by its requirements, the European Central Bank and the Bank of Japan have reduced rates to such an extent throughout the world. There's so much cheap money, it's gone to lending to corporates. That could be a problem if defaults come in. That could be a problem if the dollar strengthens on the back of Fed raising rates. So those are things that could actually bring a major crisis or a meltdown in financial markets if those central banks step off that pedal of cheap rates. So we have to watch for that because that could happen by the end of the year, that could happen into next year, but that is definitely a potential crisis brewing.